Oh, it is early. What's up, you guys? Christopher from Midwesting here. You're probably wondering, Christopher, why are you up so early? At least early by your standards, and why do you look so tired? I am up early because I am going to do some barbecuing today. And I'm going to show you guys how to turn an ordinary charcoal grill into a smoker. I'm going to smoke an entire pork butt and do some pulled pork on a cheap $40 Walmart kettle grill. So I'm going to show you how to get the same results as people with those fancy Traegers. You just might have to like pay attention a little bit more, but I'm going to show you how to get it done. Stick around. So what we're going to be working with today is a Boston butt, which is part of the pig's shoulder. This right here is the part without like the shoulder joint. It's been cut off, so it's already trimmed, it's already ready to go. When you're picking out your meat, you want to find something that's got a decent fat cap. This one is okay. I would have spent a little bit more time picking out one with a better fat cap, but this was the only one they had left, so I'm kind of lucky to have gotten this one, and it was on sale. Sometimes you can find these for a really, really good deal. I found these for $6-7 a piece. Guys, if you have a wife, make sure that you're clean about this. You don't want to get grounded. You will get grounded. Now what I like to do is just take normal Heinz mustard, just regular mustard, and I like to rub it down. This is going to act as a binding agent for your rub. We got some Kansas City barbecue and some Memphis barbecue, so both of these are going to be awesome. This one, Kansas City, that's going to be a little bit more sweet, but the Memphis, get a little bit of spicy in there too, and I'm a big fan of spicy and sweet, so we're gonna do a little bit of a combination of those two today. So what I do is I leave it in the bowl where I got the bottom where the fat cap is not up, and now I'm gonna start seasoning on that side. Then after you get that side seasoned, this is when I move it over to the board and expose the fat cap to the top. This is the side that's going to be up when you're cooking it on the smoker. What that's going to do is this fat, as it cooks, it's going to kind of start to turn to liquid. It's going to sink down into that meat, and it's going to make it really, really tender and give it that fall apart texture and tenderness that we're looking for in order to shred it up for a good pulled pork. Extremely liberal with this seasoning here. I'm a big fan of rub. I like to use a lot of rub, so don't be afraid of it. Put it on there. So that butt is nice and rubbed down. Alright. So once you got it nice and seasoned, you'll see it starting to sweat a little bit, and that is actually what you want. More dry parts are going to start to look like that, and that's a good sign. That's when it's ready to go on the smoker. But while we're waiting for it to get to that point, let's go get our smoker up to temperature. Believe it or not, this is what we're going to do it on. This was $39 I think at Walmart. $39. It was my very first grill when me and my wife first we're getting started. We got our first place, and it's worked great for me. Anytime I need to do something like a brisket or a pork butt, believe it or not, this is what works best for me. So let me show you how to set this up so that you have a nice slow burn and you get a good smoke on that meat. All right, so what I'm going to be using is regular Kingsford charcoal, and I'm going to be using a smoker box. If you don't have a smoker box, that's fine. You don't need one. You can just get Kingsford charcoal or other charcoal brands that actually have wood in the lump charcoal that you're using. I know Kingsford has like hickory, apple, cherry wood. There's all different kinds of wood charcoal that you can find. That'll work fine too. Just make sure you're not using matchlight, just regular charcoal that you actually have to get going. So this is what you got to do to get a nice slow burn, because you want to keep this burning between 225 and 250 degrees. 275 ain't too bad, but it's best to keep it in that 225, 250 range. So once you get it all stacked up like that, you want to pull off like around 10 coals just to themselves here. And those are the only ones that we're going to light. What I do is I'll sprinkle some lighter fluid on these coals right here. If you don't want to use lighter fluid, you don't have to. I have a chimney starter right there. It's just, I prefer to just start it this way. It's never really been a problem for me. If it's a problem for you, you can do it the way you want to do it. Start your coals however. But you just get those 10 coals going. Once those are nice and hot, they got that white outer coating to them, then we're gonna move them over here, and it's gonna slowly light that over the next couple hours. I just use a pair of these tongs. These tongs are just strictly for my coals. There's nothing special about them. They're just, honestly, they're pretty terrible. They're broken, but it's just to move hot coals, so there's nothing, they don't need to be anything perfect. So I take these hot coals, I just start adding them over here to the side. At this point, this is when I will return my grate. Once I get this back on here, then what we'll do is let it get up to temperature, scrape it, and then we'll be ready to add the pork butt. So when you're wanting to get your grill up to temperature, you're gonna want your vents wide open, letting that airflow get through there and bring the temperature up. You got a vent on the top and a vent on the bottom, at least on this kind of grill. When we're wanting to keep the temp between 225, 250, and you actually have the meat on there, we're gonna have it at about a quarter of the way to a third of the way open on both vents. This thing is so old, the bottom vent is stuck all the way open, so I have to deal with that. But for you guys, if your vents work properly, you want them about a quarter of the way to a third of the way open. Now we got it up to temperature, giving it a good scrape down here. I'm using hickory today. I'm also using pellets in my smoker box. You can also use chips. I have actually found this works. It's just me. You don't have to do what I do, but I'm telling you, it seems to work pretty well. I'm gonna put it here, so it's not exactly over the coals, so it's not just gonna burn them up, but enough heat to get it going. Alright, now that we got our meat on, you can see what I was talking about, how a lot of the rib rub has turned into kind of a glaze on the meat. Just kind of pulled out some of that moisture and made it coat on there nice. There's only a little bit of dry spots there, and that's okay. You don't want to put it anywhere near the coals. You want it on the part, over the parts that have no coals, so you can get that nice indirect heat to it. We're gonna lower it back down, lock it up here, and then we're gonna move the vent to about a quarter to a third of the way open. So bringing it back up to temperature after opening it up there. So we'll come back and check on it here in about an hour or two. Alright, so we're about 3 hours in. We're still holding heat really nice at around 225, right in between 225 and 250. Let's take a look. See how it's still just slowly burning? Look at that. It's looking beautiful. Let it go for a little bit longer and then we're gonna start mopping it. But while I'm waiting, I think it's time to do some mowing. Alright, well that was fun, putting some stripes down today. So now I'm starting to drop a little under 200. Let's take a look at it. Oh yeah, it's looking real nice. This is where like those Traegers and other wood pellet grills kind of come in handy, or just a regular smoker. You're not gonna have to take your meat off, but I'm gonna have to take this off, and then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna redo the coals. Sorry, there's some stuff going on over here. We're a little over halfway. This is about a 7-pound butt, and I like to do about an hour and a half per pound. So we're a little over halfway right now, but look at that. Okay, so what I've done is I've pulled the roast off and I've taken it inside. It's sitting in the oven. If you want, you could turn your oven on to around 200, 225 just to keep the temperature. It's not a big deal if you don't, if you're doing it pretty quick. So basically what I've done is I've used the coals that were still lit to basically do the same exact thing that I did last time, where I lit a few coals and then did the snake around the outside. I'm not going to be putting the smoker box back on. I've just dumped the ones that were left. You don't really need smoke at this point, but if you want to, you can. But basically I just left those at the bottom and then did a whole another snake around the outside, and those are the ones that have now lit, and it's going to continue to burn. So now what we're going to do, now that we got this back up to temp, is we're going to put it back on, and now we're going to start mopping the meat. And I know I mentioned that earlier, so let's go inside and we'll go ahead and I'll show you what that means. Alright, so now what I was talking about, mopping. At this point, some people like to wrap their pork butt entirely, so hold in that moisture, and normally put a dose of something on it just to like get a bunch of moisture inside the foil before they wrap it up. And that's good to do if you want it to get really tender, but I also really like a nice bark on the outside. So instead of wrapping it, what I like to do is continuously mop it about every half an hour or so for the rest of the time that it's on the grill. What to do is I like to use apple juice. I usually do 2 parts apple juice and 1 part apple cider vinegar, but I don't have any apple cider vinegar right now, so we're gonna kind of improvise. So we'll get some apple juice in here. Doing about 3 cups. And then add a little bit of your rubs. And this is all preference, so feel free to mess around with it, find out what you like to do. And then one thing that's really good with pork is bourbon along with apple. So I'm going to put some of this Kentucky bourbon barbecue sauce in here. We're going to whisk that together. Alright, so you probably heard me say the term mopping, and the reason I'm saying mopping instead of basting, a normal basting brush, when you go to actually put it on your meat, it's gonna be more of a rough brush, and it's gonna start scraping off some of that rib rub that you put on there earlier, and you don't want to do that. So what I use is a barbecue mop. That way you can dip it in here and then just dab it on the meat. And I'm going to do that, like I said, every half an hour or so until it's done. Things are a little bit easier right now filming because I got my wife behind the camera. She loves being on camera. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to dip it in here. We're just going to dab it. You can see it just leaves it on there. It doesn't brush it, so you're not scraping anything off. Get that moisture on there, let that really soak in. Now, one thing I really like about a pork butt is that it's got an internal thermometer. This bone right here, when it's done, is really going to start to stick out. And you should be able to just pull it right out of there when it's done. And you'll be able to tell that you're going to be able to pull it out because it really sticks out of there. So we'll check back in here in a little bit. We're getting close to the end. Alright, we're a few hours into the second round of coals. We're at about 180. We want to get that up to around 195. That's where I like to have it, so we're getting closer. We're at about 12 hours into this. You can see that bone is really sticking out there now. But let's go ahead and temp it. Oh yeah, it's done. Let's go ahead and pull this thing off and let it rest for a little bit. Alright, so we got it inside now and it's temping at 198, which is perfect. So I'm just gonna let this rest. You can see it's really hot. You got steam coming off of it. It smells amazing. You're gonna let this rest until you can almost pick it up by hand. It takes about 20-30 minutes. and let all those juices run back into it, and then we'll shred it and give it a taste test. What do you think, babe? How's it look?
That's a good looking butt.
These things are called bear claws. They're used for shredding things like this, like pork butts and chicken. If you have a pair of these make it really, really easy to shred it. If you don't though, you can use anything. You can use a fork, you can chop it up however you want to do it. Alright, now we got some shredded up. Let's go ahead and give it a try. We need a piece of this part. That's my favorite part. That was really good. It's really good. So there you have it, guys. If you want, you can totally turn a charcoal grill into a smoker. You don't need a fancy smoker. You don't need one of those wood pellet grills. You just need a little bit of extra time to temp it a little bit more often. You got to go through the hassle of changing out the coals. But if you can deal with that, this is totally doable. It's awesome for holidays, parties, events, or just if you want a bunch of meat for the week. Please drop a like down below. Don't forget to subscribe for updates. I don't only do barbecue, but I also do lawn videos, so if you want to check out some of my past videos, you can do that too. And remember, when we're here, we're always Midwesting. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
That's a good looking butt.